Welcome to the Proactive Podcast, brought to you by Me Media.
G'day world, Chris Hogan coming to you from Me Media Studio here at Burleigh Heads for episode 133 of the Proactive Podcast. And today I have with me Trustpilot's very own Head of Marketing for Australia and New Zealand, Stephanie Gillies. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm great, thanks, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, the reason why this happened is because at Me Media, we are all about basically growing the trust of brands through content marketing and our proactive methodology. Stephanie, obviously being head of Trustpilot, has a similar, bag, of helping brands increase their trust. Now, can you tell us a little bit about Trustpilot in your language, please, Stephanie?
Yeah, so Trustpilot is a leading online consumer reviews platform which hosts reviews of hundreds of thousands of businesses worldwide. So Trustpilot actually started 14 years ago in Denmark when our founder wanted to help his mother buy a washing machine and saw a gap in the market for online reviews. So now we're a leading platform with over 780 staff across 8 offices, including Melbourne. On our platform, we have now over 120 million plus reviews across 500,000 websites, and a new review is left every second. So, as we work for both companies and consumers, we try and remain independent of both.
Very good. Thanks so much for that. So, one of the things that came out in your recent, Trustpilot's recent brand integrity survey 2021 was that 49% of consumers don't trust brands that appear to be dishonest or boastful in their marketing. For example, over exaggerating their environmental impact by greenwashing, otherwise known as ethical fading. So, how does a user review help protect brands from being seen as a greenwasher?
Yeah, I think greenwashing is a really interesting topic and something that will only become, I think, more relevant as consumers evaluate the environmental impact of a brand prior to the purchase. So, like you said, we did a study of 1,000 Australian consumers, and 49%, so almost half of the consumers studied, said that they would be unlikely to purchase from a brand that was over exaggerating their marketing or being dishonest or boastful, especially with the environmental impact. So, I think that's it's a really significant result, I think, in terms of showcasing the change in consumer priorities and also where brands should be starting to focus on. And where do reviews come into play? I think reviews is one part of the strategy for brands that are looking to be a little bit more sustainable or protect themselves from greenwashing. And reviews help brands be accountable, and they're the perfect channel for having these kind of constructive and open conversations. So a consumer can jump on Trustpilot, review the brand, its marketing, its product, and it can really look at whether the brand lived up to its claim as well. And I think having reviews really adds to your level of credibility and authenticity as well, which really plays into that overall trust factor. And I think you need that trust factor when you're talking about these bigger kind of macro trends, such as, the political stance or the social stance of a brand as well. And by having, I think, kind of these reviews, you can start to demonstrate that you are trustworthy and you are authentic, especially if people are leaving reviews around some of the initiatives that you are doing, or maybe it is around, some of the green marketing that you are investing in as well. So by having kind of, a consumer, jump on, you start to win the hearts and minds, right, of your target consumers, because you start to demonstrate you are trustworthy, you are authentic. And then businesses can then take those reviews, showcase them across their website or their marketing channels, and you kind of leverage that wisdom of the crowd and you start to alleviate kind of any concerns there. And I think we're starting to see this more with the number of, sustainable or ethical brands that are really starting to pop up in Australia. So, reviews are one part of the strategy, and they're a great way to have those constructive and open conversations around these kind of topics.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm using some new software, and so, of course, I've just hidden myself, and now I don't know how to bring myself back. Oh,
Of
there I am.
course. There you are.
Beautiful. Amazing. So I'm so glad you used that word, or those two words, hearts and minds. Building a brand on purpose is the book that I wrote, and that's actually the subtitle. How to win the hearts and minds of your team and customers. So, I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
I
love
think sorry.
I was gonna say, I didn't do that on purpose, but I think it's so critical these days for any brand that wants, to be leading with purpose or want to lead with authenticity as well.
Yes.
You do have to win those hearts and minds, and the benefits long term of doing that are significant.
Yes, absolutely. So the benefits long term are emotional because there is that statement that people won't always remember what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And so that emotional connection that you end up having with your customer through tapping into your mutual value sets will actually uh, bring a long term relationship of true value to both parties. So uh, I think the problem that's occurring and is that not everybody understands what greenwashing is. So let's go through that for just a few seconds, or ethical fading, which is pretty much the same thing. So people are going out and saying that they're doing all these amazing things for like the world, the environment, or social causes or the community, but then effectively, like there's part of their process or maybe even their supply network that sort of undoes that for them. Maybe they're using a dirty supplier that's spewing out stupid amounts of carbon emissions for in the environmental sense, or they're still using plastic bags,
Yeah.
things like that. So I guess that helps explain sort of how people sort of become undone when they say they're doing all these things, but then they're not doing them holistically. They're only doing them maybe on a small level. So there's this importance around, I guess, not preaching too much that they're doing these things, but showing through their marketing that they're actually taking action on certain things, and also I think there's a balance and not doing it all of the time.
Yeah.
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 So let's just talk about Trustpilot again, and how should a business respond to reviews? Should they be responding to every review that they get?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot, and we always recommend to our clients and anyone that's looking to invest in a review strategy to respond to all reviews, whether they're positive or negative. I think by responding to reviews, it really highlights that you care about your customers, their experience, and their feedback. And by resolving an issue or giving thanks, it allows you to build that. I think allows you to build a better relationship with your customers and drive lifelong loyalty and engagement. So it's about kind of creating a two-way dialogue, and we always say that you should try and respond to a review not long after they've been left. You don't want to jump on it months after that they've left a review. And research actually shows that about half of customers actually want to hear back from a business after they've left a review as well. So you don't want to leave a customer who has left a really positive review feeling underappreciated. You don't want a customer who's left a negative review to feel unheard as well. So it's about striking that balance. And we say that you should respond and engage with all customers leaving a review. And it's interesting because 72% of consumers now trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. And in Australia and New Zealand, 70% of consumers read a review prior to making a purchase. So, given that reviews are now a critical part of the buying journey, so people are actively turning to reviews before making a purchase decision. And I think by responding to reviews, it shows to the world that you care about your customers. You're willing to invest in your customers as well, and there's long-term benefits seen with engaging your community with their reviews, because it can lead to repeat purchases, lead to recommendations, and also new customer acquisition as well. So anyone that's serious about kind of building out a review strategy, we always say it's a great way to build more connections with your customers, and you can take a lot of learnings as well from these reviews. So you might as well harness them, showcase them across, the different customer journey touch points, but also it's a reflection on your brand as well out to the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something you said there that's super important for brands is it is it is market feedback, right? So effectively, it's market research, right? And too many customers of ours, not so much ours actually. So too many brands uh, actually don't listen to the market, and and sometimes that's because they're, especially in today's world, they're hyper digital, right? So they never actually see their customer face to face. They might even be lucky to see them on Zoom. So e-commerce businesses are a perfect example, right? They're getting the order, they're shipping it out, they never see the customer, they never talk to them. I think that the the best place for people to get feedback is person to person, and in the early stages, if you're selling a product or a service, even go set up at a market. Like, the markets are an amazing place, and it's funny to analyze the market,
Yeah.
to research the market, to understand the market, because you'll see it. People will walk past you, or they'll come in. You
That
know.
that's right. And we've had customers come back and say how much they've learned from the reviews as well. It might have been a product that someone has made a comment on. They may have loved it and they said, "Oh, but I would have loved to seen, this small tweak to it," or, "This would have made it, 10% better," or something like that. And they've actually gone away and developed and worked on that, and then they've released it to the market and said, "It's because of the feedback you gave us." It's that direct. And you kind of almost get it real time as well, rather than just waiting. You might do a survey out to your customers, once every 6 months or once a year or something like that, or, wait for that meeting to occur, or potentially not occur as well. So you're kind of getting these kind of almost like real time feedback, right?
Mm.
Especially if you ask for a review, say after purchase and after they've used it, or potentially even after a service has occurred. So you're kind of getting these stream of insights to come in, and whether it's good or bad, you can take a lot of learnings from it. And that's why we say you should always review as well, because so you should always respond to the reviews, because you start to build that community, and they'll go back and they can re-review, as well as they, as you kind of release new products or new services, or if they buy again from you. So it's really you can get a lot of insights from reviews, and it's a great marketing tool, especially for externally facing kind of marketing initiatives as well, because it showcases your brand and it helps others with their buying experience.
Sure. That's a great segue into, so, the bad review. What do we do when we get a bad review?
Yeah, I feel like the first thing is don't panic. I feel like that's our first response. Is people see a bad review and go, "Oh, what do we do here? This isn't good. How's it going to impact the brand?" and everything like that. Especially on when it can be a public forum as well, and other people can see it. And I think we need to acknowledge that not everything goes right 100% of the time. It's unrealistic for businesses and consumers to expect that, and to expect that everything will be right, from the shipping to, the distribution to the product or service. So it's interesting because 72% of Australian consumers prefer to see a realistic mix of both positive and negative reviews. So it's actually about how do you respond that's key, rather than always aiming for 100% positive reviews. So when you do receive a negative review, we always encourage you to respond. So like I said, you should try and respond to all reviews, positive or negative. And by responding to reviews, it just shows how much you care about your customers, again, about their experiences and their feedback as well. So when you do kind of look at a negative review, when you go to respond to it, try and stay objective. Try and keep your ego out of it as well. And I know that can be hard for, some people, especially if they own a business as well, or you might take it a little personally or get, a little bit offended. But we always try and say, feel that, but then, you don't necessarily act or respond on that. So try and take the ego out of it. And then also show empathy as well, because this is someone's experience. And they've taken
Empathy.
the time to, leave a review and share it, because they might want, you know, think people want to see businesses get better as well, and help other people make their purchase decision easier. So show empathy in your response. If you,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a big one. Um, and there's been times here at Me Media where we've actually had to check ourselves on something we've said in a response, and maybe even delete it and rewrite it. I'll be honest, we've learned a lot over the last 20 plus years doing this sort of stuff, and now we create canned responses for our clients so that they can actually say something really nice straight away, really empathetic, without letting their emotions take hold. And then that gives them some time to, think about it and potentially make a meeting with the client or customer, via phone or email or whatever it is, in person, to then resolve it.
That's right. We have we kind of say to both consumers and businesses, maybe just pause, take a moment and make your reply count as well. So we know responding to negative reviews can be challenging, and like you said, you've got to check yourself, and your processes at time. And so, before you respond, have that chat internally and, chat to somebody else and try and kind of digest it a little bit more.
Is there an ideal time frame?
Well, we always say try and respond, not long after that they've come in as well, because you don't want to kind of keep customers,
not long
waiting.
After. Come on. What's the ideal time frame, Steph?
Well, there's no ideal kind of time frame. We see some great businesses do it, in the same day to 3 days. You don't want to kind of keep your customer waiting at all, and that's why we say always respond. But make sure that your reply also counts as well. So have that constructive, useful conversation. Maybe it is that you want to jump on the phone. They've left a review, you want to jump on the phone to try and resolve it. In your reply, we always say don't over apologize. Apologize and then try and provide a solution if you can as well. Make sure that if you are providing a solution, it is actually achievable and realistic. You don't want to kind of overpromise and then you're back in that same situation you were in initially. So, we always say that, but I think, the response that you give, whether that again is a reflection on your brand, and it's what other consumers are reading as well. So then go, okay, a problem happened. We know, again, not everything goes right 100% of the time, but hang on, the brand actually dealt with it really well. They resolved that problem. So therefore I feel more comfortable, either doing a repeat purchase or actually engaging with that company because I can see how they've handled it as well. So the research kind of shows that if you can kind of address it quickly and promptly, you actually have a higher chance of retaining the customer and building, loyalty in the long run as well. And I think the good thing is with like a platform like Trustpilot, it is open. So everyone can see the review, but consumers also have the option to go back and it could be to update their review or leave a new one. So they may have they may have left the negative review, you may have resolved it. They can actually go back and say, yes, I had this, I had this negative experience or not so great experience, but the company actually did, they actually resolved it. And so therefore, the way they handled that was fantastic or something. So they can actually then leave you a positive review based off, that new experience they're having there.
I've done that myself. So, Steph, why aren't we just going and deleting all the bad reviews?
Yeah, look, I think that kind of goes then against, being open and transparent as a brand. It'd be easy to just delete it. But like we said as well, consumers want to see that mix of positive and negative reviews. I think it's that comfort that you can see when things go bad, how do brands handle it, and you want to see the good. You want to see the good as well. You don't want to kind of just see 100% all positive, reviews and everything like that. So you want to see that mixture there. But if you start deleting it as well, I think it goes against, your brand's purpose, being open to the market and being transparent as well. It's kind of that kind of false sense that you're giving off to other consumers. There are ways that, we on Trustpilot, we don't allow you to delete reviews at all.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, so we don't allow you to delete them at all, but you can raise them. If you think that a review maybe breaches guidelines or something, you can raise it with our content integrity team. So you might flag a review because maybe it contains it's not based on a genuine experience, right? So maybe current employees are paid to leave a review, or it's actually about a different business or a different domain. So you can kind of flag that, or, maybe there's, some information that maybe it's harmful or it contains too much personal information, something
What
like
about
that.
local laws? I mean, you're an international company, so how do you go with managing like breach of local laws?
Yeah, so our content integrity team kind of looks at all of that. So you can flag, businesses and consumers can flag it as well. So it is open to both to flag reviews. And they will go through a detailed process and look at things like, international laws, maybe one of those. It could look at, whether it's harmful or, it's got some illegal information or something like that. So there's definitely quite a bit of a process that goes through. It's, something that's quite independent in Trustpilot as well. The team sit through and they will have a look through everything that is flagged. But in general, we don't allow reviews to be deleted. We think that having that feedback, displayed to the world, whether it's good or bad, again, it's opportunities to learn and improve. It's opportunities to build trust as well, and actually an opportunity to kind of help acquire new customers, but then also build, loyalty in your customer base.
Cool. So brands are actually paying for this service for themselves, right? They're setting up this service on their own. It's not. It doesn't just happen like, for example, Google reviews can just happen for brands sometimes. Like they've got a Google My Business page, and next minute, they've got reviews happening. So with Trustpilot, brands are actually setting them up. Yeah.
They can. So we have unclaimed and claimed profiles. So an unclaimed is when, consumers have left a review and the business hasn't claimed their profile. And then we have, claimed profiles where they've actually gone through and set up their profile page. They may have added, the category or industry they're in. They've added some business information as well. So you will see, we do kind of mark that on the Trustpilot platform, so you can see claimed or unclaimed. But yeah, people, we do encourage consumers to leave a review, regardless if they've got a profile page set up or not. Trustpilot is free and open to all as well. So we do have, you can sign up for free and get started for free. Then there are add-on modules that you can purchase depending if, you want to include, say, the reviews on your website. So you would need certain widgets and stuff. But, back to one of our purposes is that we are, open to all. We're, transparent, we're honest, and we help build that trust there. So that is why we do offer that free plan, so we can kind of get businesses, started using reviews, but also consumers can jump on and leave a review, whether a business has claimed or not claimed their profile page.
Yeah, very good. So how long does it take to get started on Trustpilot?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. So like I said, Trustpilot's free and open to all. So you can jump on, you can use one of our free plans. We do then have a support center available that helps you guide you through kind of the setup. And then you've also got for those that are on a paid plan, you can access a customer success team to help you with your onboarding there. So first, you need to claim your business profile. So that's where your reviews live. That's where the other information is all publicly available. So that will be your star rating, your trust score, and a couple of other business details there. From there, once you've claimed it, you can kind of then set up your business categories and you can start sending out invites. So it's a fairly easy process. And then there are the add-on kind of modules, such as trust boxes, which, like I said, are those widgets that you can embed onto your website, which then shows the reviews, and you can use that in other touch points of your marketing as well. So we want to make it as easy as possible to start collecting reviews, and we also want to make it as easy as possible for consumers to leave a review as well.
Cool. So one of the things I think a concern for brands would be that potentially they have a unclaimed page, that's been created by a consumer. They've got reviews there. Do you reckon there'll be positive reviews at the get-go, or maybe slightly negative at the get-go?
Look, it could probably be a mix, I would say.
Well, I think they're going to be negative
because
because people are highly motivated by telling the world of a negative experience, whereas less motivated for a positive one. what was the stats used to be? A positive experience, people would tell 3. A negative experience, people tell 11. Well, now they jump on the internet and tell the whole world. So there's an unclaimed page there. A brand's basically come to find this page that exists for them, and now they need to claim it so that they can get notifications when someone creates a review, right? So that they know when this stuff's happening. Just with teams, like there's, we've all got so much going on, and sometimes we don't have an individual person or that's just dedicated to managing reviews. So can we actually set up multiple people to receive notifications for when a review occurs?
Yeah, you can. So you can be alerted via email when a review is written or it's updated. I do love something that one of our clients has done recently, because they really wanted to focus on the kind of that voice of the customer internally, have that stream and have multiple people see it as well. And what they've actually done is they set up an internal like public Slack channel for reviews and stuff. So they had all incoming reviews come into this Slack channel and then posted for everyone in the channel to see in kind of real time. And what it did was it actually gave like a constant unfiltered stream of insights into what customers were saying. And, you had people from the CEO to the department heads to, product teams be part of this Slack channel. And it really opened up that conversation internally. And it actually meant that they were kind of getting the right person to respond to the review as well in a faster time, because they could just kind of tag the right person in the Slack channel. Everyone can see it as well, and they were jumping on it because I think there was that bit more sense of urgency when it's coming through that Slack channel. Everyone can see it as well. So what they were saying was they've actually seen improvements in response times to customers. And there's also been a little bit more feedback in terms of, from a product and service perspective, I think, actually having multiple people see the feedback, they've been able to feed that back internally as well and actually make improvements to the product or service, rather than maybe just having 1 or 2 people, look at the reviews and respond, and they might not feed it back into the business. And I thought it was a great way to really kind of build that, I guess, that customer culture and that culture of improvements as well, and listening to the feedback. I hadn't heard that before, but I think it's a wonderful solution that they've come up with.
Yeah, of course, we'd probably want to turn off notifications for that channel if you were getting a lot of them. Far out, that would be distracting for some of our brands. They get like multiples a day.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I also would do the same, but I would view that one. But I think it's good that, if you're not somebody that might be, connected to or, living in the review platform, it's great for you to kind of pop in and out to see what exactly is being set out in the market and, see some of the responses as well.
So I just want to jump to this whole, I think, burning question in my mind, pre ever, signing up with Trustpilot, is why the hell do I need Trustpilot when Google reviews exist, right? And anybody that's experienced Google reviews, hey, fantastic platform, free for all. But managing reviews there can actually be tricky. That's from my point of view. And sometimes, when you've got negative reviews that are just total, what's the word, bullshit. They're completely unfounded and irrelevant to the business. Sometimes even getting rid of those can be difficult. So the Google review team aren't as responsive as Trustpilot. Let me just say that.
Well, that's good to
know. And one of the other things is, I guess, there is some statistics around, especially in Australia and New Zealand, around. I think there's not as many. Well, not everybody's on Google, right? So actually placing a Google review requires you to have a Gmail account or a Google Workspace account. So what's the stats on that? How many people actually do and don't have a Google account here in Australia?
Yeah, I don't know the exact stat. I think it's, I'd have to come back. I think it's about maybe 40% of Australians have got a Google account, give or take around that. And I think that can be, that can be a big barrier for leaving a review because you've got to log in. And I think one of the positives of Trustpilot or, having an independent third-party platform is, when a review invitation is sent out, you can respond straight away. There's no logins. You don't have to have necessarily a Trustpilot account. You can just go in, leave a review straight away. So, we hear that, time and time again. And especially, I think there's different demographics as well that don't have a Google review. So you could potentially be missing out on, capturing some of your customers as well.
Yeah. So SendGrid's data, I do have it in the show notes for this, which was some research prior. SendGrid actually came out in 2019 and said that 38% of Aussies have a Google account. So that's 62% of people that you're potentially asking for a review may not be able to actually fulfill on that request. So that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, it's a massive number, especially given how many consumers are now reading reviews as well.
True.
So if you flip it as well, you've got, over 70% of Australia and New Zealand's reading at least, 2 to 3 reviews prior to making a purchase. So you want to make sure that your customer base can actually, leave a review. When you send out that email, you want to kind of capitalize on that and get them to...
Potentially they're not seeing 62% of the market's actual feedback. So that's, wow, that's a different way to look at it, isn't it? So, look, we've talked about embedding. It is relatively easy, which is great. Can multiple people receive notifications? Yes, that's awesome. Slack integrations, I love that. How does Trustpilot's purpose fit with your own purpose and values, Steph?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think as I've become, you grow and you become more comfortable, in your career and as a marketer, I tend to look for businesses now that there's an alignment with my purpose, what really drives me, and kind of what gets me, up every morning, and what, where my values align as well. And I think that's become probably highlighted, especially in the last 2 years for a lot of people. I think, we're really seeing that shift where people want to work for companies where they, might have alignment with their purpose, or they're proud to work for a company that does, certain things. And for me, Trustpilot is a very purpose-driven company, especially around that trust and transparency. And they're two kind of factors or values I hold pretty, dearly to my heart, and also as a marketer as well. I think that comes up time and time again in marketing. And I've worked in marketing roles where, you could maybe be a little bit more open or transparent. And on the flip side as well, as a marketer, I've, engaged in services where I thought, actually, there could be more, transparency there, or I'm not quite getting the full picture. And they're two kind of values I thought, that really struck a chord to me when, I was looking at Trustpilot. And, it comes across, I think, the way I kind of talk internally to the, my teams and, stakeholders internally, but I feel like it also strongly reflected in, the approach to market as well. So when we can have these open and transparent conversations that are still, constructive and useful, I think it changes that dynamic significantly. And it's somewhere that, as a marketer and, also as a human being, you want to come to work and have that alignment and, not feel like you can't be honest and open and have that transparent view on, whether it's your role or the business. And, I think that's kind of the reason why I came to Trustpilot, and the reason why I think, we're starting to see more businesses adopt Trustpilot in the market as well, especially locally, because, it comes, you can go to work and it becomes easier to do this every day. I think your values then come across in the way that you market or go to market as well. And it's a seamless. It's not like, you are, you're being disingenuous or anything in your values, because the way you're marketing is completely different to what you believe in. So for me, that, being trust and, that trust and transparency piece was a really big factor, in terms of the alignment between my values and what Trustpilot stands for and what they're trying to achieve. I feel like,
Right.
You always want to have that bit of purpose behind you, and also believe in what the company stands for.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a hugely popular opinion and trend, especially as the millennials sort of come through. It's definitely been something that the millennials have popularized, and it's kind of like, we don't want dictatorships, we want democracies. We want our opinion to matter, and for some, I guess. Brands and businesses that have been around for so long, it's a very hard pill for them to swallow. And the thing that I would ask them to remember is that who is their market? Because if they are bringing on a millennial market in their workforce, millennials in their workforce, then effectively, they need to understand that millennials are also their market.
Yeah.
So they can give brands awesome insights into the buying habits and behaviors of their customers. So their opinions absolutely do matter, and so do all. So even the older guys like me,
Still
and
matters.
older, absolutely, And I think that if there's the mutual respect going on, then it's all good. As soon as the respect, I think, disappears from that relationship, then it's very difficult to work work together. So purpose is important. One of the insights that I discovered through my own experience over the last 20 plus years is that we only need to have 3 values in common for us to actually be able to get along with each other and get through those tough times. Failing those 3 values in common, not having any values in common, means that we're never going to see eye to eye. They're a driving force in our behaviours and our opinions, and how we make decisions. So
interesting. I didn't know it was 3. So
that's my research.
Yeah.
That's my research. It's experiential. It's not like I went out and I have a published document that says I interviewed this many people. It's just based on experience. So
yeah, and I guess that's why people are starting to work for companies that they have got that alignment, because you do it day in and day out. You want to see some similarities, and you don't want to feel like at the end of the day that you've gone completely against what you stand for as well.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That if you've got that alignment, and if it's 3 or whatever that number is, that makes sense.
Well, I found that 1 doesn't quite cut it.
Yeah.
When times get tough, when the going gets tough, and there's some debate over how things should be done in a workplace, then 1 doesn't really cut it. Two's better, but 3 really is that sort of that tipping point to mean that we can actually get past these challenge internally or externally. Look, that was a bit of an insight from my research and time in the saddle. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on board for this podcast. Do you have any last recommendations for brands to build trust in the marketplace other than Trustpilot?
Yeah, well, we've talked a lot about reviews, so that would be my number 1 recommendation is to get on board with reviews. It's a great way, but I think have a think about broader user-generated content. So that's anything that customers create that relates to your brand, your service, or your product, right? Reviews is one part of that, but it could be a testimonial, it could be a blog post that they've written, or maybe they've put something on Instagram about it. I would have a think about the power of that, and why I'm kind of saying that to build trust is you want to know how real people feel about, a product or service, and, real people kind of being the emphasis is not necessarily the brand going out with their marketing or their ads saying how great they are. You want to have that customer speak on your behalf almost, and take advantage of that external validation. So, you want to know, does the top actually fit true to size, like they say on their website? Will it shrink in the wash? Will they turn up on time for the service that I've booked in? Or, are they going to honor their promise at the end of the day that they've got on their website and they go to market with? So I think kind of having, real people actually kind of speak and build advocacy for your brand that way is another awesome way to build trust in the marketplace, and something that some brands do really well of. They really take advantage of that external validation in order to influence other customers. But I think a lot of brands can really take advantage of this because the content's being created. And I think sometimes it comes across more authentic when it's not necessarily the brand telling everyone else how awesome they are, but it's their actually customers telling the story. So, we all know trust is so hard to come by these days. And trust is also now kind of, I think, a foundational element for why you buy or why you might not buy as well. If you've got this gut sense that something might be off, you might not buy then, or you might not engage with that service. So actually having, real customers say that. So yes, reviews is one part of that, but have a think about that broader user-generated content spectrum and see exactly what you can kind of take and grab and then incorporate into your brand messaging or, on your website or on your social media channels as well.
Great insights there. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We're going to wrap this up. If they want to get on Trustpilot, do they come and see you, or they go on Trustpilot and start doing their research there? How do they get moving?
Yeah, so you can jump on our website. You can create a free account there as well. And then, of course, you can always speak to the team. If anyone wants to add me on LinkedIn, they can certainly do that, and happy to answer any questions as well.
Beautiful. You're going to be busy. All right. Thanks so much, guys. That's the end of episode 132 of the Proactive Podcast. Actually, one final question.
Yeah.
Where are you most proactive in your life, and how has that paid off for you?
Online or?
Life.
Where am I most proactive? That's a good question. Can I ask you where you are most proactive?
Yeah, my health and fitness.
Yeah, okay. That is something that is a bit of a goal for me. I was into that quite a lot. For me, I think it's my relationships. I think that kind of really inspires me and motivates me. The relationships I have, not just family and friends, but also colleagues and, people I know in the industry as well. For me, that's a real motivator for me.
Awesome. Thanks. That'll be a snippet. Thanks, guys. You can check out our podcast. All of them are on memedia.com.au. That's the great index there of all of the 132 or so podcasts. And we're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So check them out. Thanks, Steph, again.
Thanks, Chris.